Late all. What's good, everybody? It's your boy Vanquish33, your favorite Eddie Broer with a whole lot of ambition. Fana push up, push up mission. We voga and go get it with no permission, baby. And I'm back again with another later ass YouTube video, guys. Today's one is a bit of an impromptu video. Came out of nowhere. So I'm a bit bored, so I decided to record a video, right? So in today's video, I'm just going to be discussing things that I wish I knew as a beginner trader coming into the forex industry or the trading industry, right? It's not going to be too much of a long video, and neither is it going to be edited. So if I mess up, just forgive me, right? So yeah. So without delaying any more of your time, let's get into the video, right? One of the first things that I wish I knew as a beginner trader coming into the industry is that it's important that you come into this industry with a long-term mindset. Don't come into the industry thinking that you're gonna come and trade after like a month, 5 months, or even a year, and expect yourself to be driving a Lamborghini. So things take time with trading. Thing is, with trading, I think experience is more important than, I wouldn't say more important, but experience is just important as the skill when it comes to trading, right? So in the beginning phase, there's going to be a lot of mistakes that you're going to make. There's going to be a lot of accounts that are going to be blown. You're going to be taking things such as signals. You're going to be learning beginner phase strategies, leaving you susceptible to certain things. So it's very important that you approach this thing with a long-term mindset. Come into it looking at it as if you're going to a tertiary school where you're going to be going through a few years of trial and error and trying new things, putting things in place, things not working, and readjusting as well, right? So it's very important that you approach it with a long-term mindset. Don't come into it thinking that it's a get-rich-quick scheme. I know with social media things can get a bit crazy. You start thinking a certain way and stuff like that, right? Yeah. And yeah, the second thing that I'd like to discuss is that the importance of psychology within trading, right? There's points within my trading where I know that my technical analysis is I wouldn't say superb, but it's quite good, right? But I find myself over leveraging on certain positions, or even trading more than I should be trading. That's because I'm not able to manage my psychology the way that I should manage my psychology, right? I would say that trading is mostly psychology. I think technical analysis would be in between 10 to 20% of trading, and the rest would be psychology, managing your emotions within trading, whether you're initiating a trade, managing the trade until it gets liquidated, whether that is hitting a stop loss or take profit, right? Psychology is super important. That's why, for me, it's important that I follow a certain routine when I actually, like during the week when I'm actually trading, right? Whether that's meditating, whether that's reading a book, or whatever it is, whatever that I do within my routine that helps me manage my emotions, right? Because sometimes if you're not going to manage your emotions or control your emotions, you might just end up making a lot of mistakes within your trading. That's why it's also important that when you are not feeling too well emotionally, let's say you're upset on that day, I don't think it would be a good idea to go to your trading desk and start looking for setups and stuff like that, because you're going to be misjudging certain situations and making mistakes and end up losing a certain amount of your capital. And yeah, so just avoid trading on days when you're not feeling like trading, right? Another thing that I'd like to mention is that in this game, coming in as a beginner, I feel like skill is more important than money in the beginning phase of trading. In the beginning phase of trading, I think skill is more important than the money, right? Because let's say you want to save up a certain amount of capital to be able to trade that capital, right? Even if you decide to trade that capital, you're gonna keep losing that money because you don't have, at that time, you don't have the necessary skill, neither do you have the experience, right? To know that, okay, during this week, such things are gonna happen. Let me wait for the market to do what it has to do so that Yeah, some weeks there's gonna be weeks where liquidity is just being generated, right? The market is not tradable during those times. So those things come with experience, right? So that's where you need to put in the hours to be able to not only have the skill but the experience to see things before they happen, right? Like I'd actually advise, instead of trading huge capital in your beginner phase of trading, rather use that capital to either invest in your trading desk or in a skill or in a certain book that you feel like is going to make you a better trader at the end of the day. Because yeah, with you can't trade an account without the skill, because it's going to be frivolous at that time to have a huge amount of money because you're still learning, right? So rather take that money and invest it in your skill or your trading desk, get yourself a nice monitor, stuff like that. Now, the fourth thing that I'd like to mention is signal services, right? Now, in my trading journey, I only took signals once, and ever since then, I never took signals ever again. Thing about signals is, right, you're trading someone else's idea of what they think will happen within the market, so you're never really sure why the person is entering uh, they buy or sell position at the place they're entering. You just simply copying the trade with the expectation or hope of it going into the intended direction, right? And I don't think you really learn anything from signals except the fact that you shouldn't be taking them, right? That's why I personally give signals for free, because thing is the markets are very unpredictable. There's no one out there who can actually say, I'm going to buy here and this is exactly what the market is going to do, right? It's very unpredictable. That's why it's so, I guess the market is so addictive and partly enjoyable, because it's so unpredictable. You can never wake up the next morning trading the London session and say this is exactly what's going to happen, because it might or might not happen, depending on the ratio of what the setup mostly does. Like, I know there's certain setups that win 80% of the time, and 20% of the time things don't work out, right? That's just a probability game. So yeah, the last and one of the most important things that I think is very, very important as a beginner trader is to remain teachable, right? In the industry that we're in, it's very important to remain teachable because the market is always changing and there's always something new to learn, right? I don't think anyone can ever say they are a market guru, right? Like, because there's always something to learn from someone, whether you've been trading for longer and they have been trading for a small amount of time. There's always something to learn from someone within the market, because the industry is so vast and there's so much information, right? So remaining teachable is always important. Don't become complacent and think that you know everything and there's nothing else to learn. There's always something to learn and there's always something to tweak within your trading. So it's very important that you have an open mind to anything that comes. Obviously, like, don't just accept any information that comes your way. It's always good to question certain information, right? To question its validity and whether it would have any carry any weight or substance within your trading to be able to implement within your trading, right? Those are just some of the 5 things that I would give advice to for beginner traders coming into the industry as well. Um, uh, it takes a lot of work to actually gain the right skill within trading. It takes a lot of effort. It takes a lot of hard work. It takes a lot of reading. It takes a lot of trial and error. It's just sometimes it can even be emotionally draining. So that's why it's very important to have passion for trading. That's actually the sixth thing on the list, right? It's very important that you're passionate about trading. Otherwise, you're just going to end up quitting halfway, right? And you're just going to be chasing the wrong things. You're going to be chasing the money instead of the process, right? Put the process before the outcome. Yes, the outcome is very important, but the process is what gets you there, right? So be passionate about trading. Don't just do it because you want to flex Gucci tops and stuff like that. Do it because you want to actually figure this thing out and know why the market does what it does at the point it does, right? So yeah, man, that's the end of the video. I don't want the video to be too long, and I'm sorry if I was all over the place, if I wasn't so eloquent in my dialogue, but you just forgive me. Just take away the value that I gave in this video. It's your boy Vangush 33. Until next time, in between time, rock with your boy.